There comes a time when every young student asks herself, "True, I'm capable of doing many things and doing them well. But what special task am I called to do? What am I called to become?" That's the key question in life, the question of identity, of vocation, of destiny. Should I choose this or that? Should I take this road or that? If you've come to XIC this year, in part it is to answer this question. What we say of an individual can also be said of a nation. As a free and independent nation, there are so many choices before us, so many options. What do we want to become as a people, as a nation? Our nation, this India which we all know and love, so ancient and yet so young, so brimming with hope and alive with possibilities. This India now on the cusp of change. We are part of these changes. What changes? Some of them are obvious, others less so. Let's name a few. The vast masses brooding in silence are quiet no longer. They want to be seen, they demand to be heard. Dalits, always silent and oppressed in this country, want a new place for themselves, a place in the sun. Women, young and old, cry out, "Me too!" refusing to be taken for granted, to be patronized, refusing to put up with assault and rape. Adivasis refuse to have their sacred hills and valleys mined for bauxite and coal. They resist, they fight back. Governments call them Naxalites and send in troops, but they will not be cowed. People are on the move everywhere, from village to small town, from small town to big city, from big city to foreign shores, in search of better employment, more money, more opportunities, in search of a prosperous and more secure life, and looking for partners, or simply for new friends and lovers. Interfaith marriages have become a force for integration in this land as young people increasingly desire what their elders shunned and rejected. All this has been made possible in part by the advances of the technological media. Not just television, satellites and computers, but most of all by smartphones, whose capacities for storing information, providing options, altering content and transmitting it instantly boggle the mind. Duniya muthi mein. You look at those who have succeeded in the media and tell yourself, "That's my future. I want to be part of it." They are your models and exemplars. You tell yourself, if they can make it, so can I. Thus far the future. But what of the past? If there is one aspect of Indian life which still resists change, it is religion. We still believe credulously whatever our godmen, our priests, our ulema tell us, and we preen ourselves on our symbols and traditions. We celebrate our religious festivals noisily and wastefully, believing that we are unique in the world. Because we live largely in the past, a feudal past, we fail to see how one man's religious symbol can become another's hated stumbling block. And while it is true that religion gives us identity, it is an identity which is monochrome, black and white. Whereas in reality, our identity is composite, polychrome, and multi-layered. It is true, we all have composite identities, deriving from social roles, parents, siblings, collegians, ethnicity, Gujarati Boris, Mappillais from Kerala, Mumbai Kolis, ideological preferences, leftist intellectual, feminist, ecological activist, professional interests, filmmaker, newspaper columnist. So, why should only religious identity be stuck in an either-or logic? Isn't a multi-layered religious identity plausible? It is plausible once we refuse to see religion as a dogma and ideology. All ideologies are intolerant because they claim to be all-knowing and all-controlling. They have all the answers and permit no questions. Such religions don't form character, instead they indoctrinate. But the religious history of this nation is exactly the opposite. India has had a long, clear tradition of questioning orthodoxies of various kinds, including religious orthodoxies. This is why Amartya Sen calls us argumentative Indians, because our culture has never been one of conformity but of diversity, of disputes, disagreements, and differing points of view. The best Indian tradition is dialogic, eclectic, and inclusive. But notice how different things are today. There's a strong desire for uniformity of thought and opinion, whether it is shouting Bharat Mata Ki Jai or singing the national anthem before the movie starts, or the rising intolerance against dissent and independent inquiry. The murders of Gauri Lankesh, Kalburgi, Pansare and Dabolkar are shocking proof of this. In fact, this ideology of control and surveillance owes more to European fascism than it does to our Indian tradition. Those who promote it have no place in the mainstream Indian tradition of diversity and inclusivity. We need to reject religion as ideology and recover a sense of religion as mystery, as an experience which is open-ended and leads to learning from various sources. More than doctrines or dogma, faith gives meaning to life through prayers and rituals and opens one to the mystery of others. Here is where dialogue comes in. To understand the belief of others, to respect the values of those who are different. Interestingly enough, one of the most visible forms of dialogue today is young people of different communities intermarrying. For marriage today is seen less and less in terms of family obligations and the demands of offspring, and more in terms of mutual respect, love and support between husband and wife. A whole new perspective has begun. So the religious identity of the Indian, rigid as it has been, must give way to the secular identity of the Indian citizen, which now becomes primary. A democratic nation involves a change of mindset. Not to think of ourselves primarily in terms of religion, caste, or language, but to start thinking of ourselves as equal citizens of one nation, both before law and in practice. True, this will take its time, for the old ways of thinking are strong, but this is the way to go, this is the road to choose. We noticed earlier how migration and media technology have spearheaded this transformation. Together, they have created aspirations, promises, opportunities. But communication is much more than media technology. Communication implies wanting to understand, desiring to be understood. Another word for this is dialogue. Where societies live in harmony, they network for the benefit of all. Implicit in democracy is upholding the ethic of human communication. A secularized society advances that ethic. A free society is energized and innovative, reaching out beyond. It is a society creating its own harmony. Here is where we want to go. This is what we all want to become. As the poet said, where the mind is without fear and the head held high, where words come out of the depths of truth, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the desert sand of dead habit. Into that heaven of freedom, brothers and sisters, let our country awake.